Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. We're reading the Srimad-Bhagavatam, as I was just explaining to Carlos and Judah, two of our new guests for the first time, that this book is very, very ancient. In writing, well, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
How are you?
Very good. Honored to be here.
Well, it's an honor to have you. What's your name?
My name is Chris. I met up with
Oh, I heard about you.
these wonderful
I feel like I knew you already. I heard so much thing about you. And your name again was?
Chris.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Exactly, that's what I thought. So we've got two Chris's, a Carlos and a Judas here today. New ears, and we're very happy to see them. We're very happy to see all of you out in cyberspace. Can't see you, but to be with you. And so this Srimad Bhagavatam, very ancient scripture, describes the history of the universe, the creation of the universe, and the principles, the laws of the universe. And we're going to hear a part of a chapter today, which describes ideal family life. And you can easily compare this to what's going on today, and you can understand how far we have strayed from the ideal. Tulsi Maharani ki jai. This is a sacred plant, Tulsi Devi. Hare Krishna. Okay, Rati, there she is. Someone out in cyberspace asked us to put Tulsi Devi here. Okay, before we recite this wonderful Shastra, scripture, we always recite a prayer that was offered to this Srimad Bhagavatam by a great spiritual authority in our line of authority named Sanatana Goswami. He wrote this prayer about 500 years ago. It explains what the Srimad Bhagavatam is. So if you listen carefully, you'll be able to understand deeper what we're about to hear. Okay? Srimad Bhagavatam Mihima Stotram, and it goes like this. Sarva Shastabdi Yusha, Sarva Vedaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaya, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidwan Dodita Nitya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madgudo Mad Mahadana, Mad Nistadaga Mad Bhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadutadayin atini chochatakada hanamuncha gadachin mam premnarit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we've reached the 14th chapter of the 7th canto. There's 12 cantos altogether in this book. So we've been reading for quite some time. There's 18,000 verses to describe the absolute truth, definitively. This chapter is called Ideal Family Life. According to the laws of nature, if we live our family life according to these laws, then the world would be a much more peaceful place, unlike it is today. Summary of the chapter. This chapter describes the occupational duties of the householder according to the time, the country, and the performer. When Yudhishthira Maharaj became very much inquisitive about the occupational duties for the householder, Narada Muni advised him that a grihasta's first duty is to be fully dependent on Vasudeva, Krishna, and to try to satisfy him in all respects by executing one's prescribed devotional service. This devotional service will depend on the instructions of authorities and the association of devotees who are actually engaged in devotional service. The beginning of devotional service is Shravanam, or hearing. One must hear from the mouths of realized souls. In this way, the grihasta's attraction to his wife and children will gradually be reduced. As for the maintenance of his family, a grihasta, while earning what he requires for his living, must be very conscientious and must not undergo extraordinary endeavor simply to accumulate money and unnecessarily increase in material comforts. Although a grihasta should externally be very active in earning his livelihood, he should internally be situated as a fully self-realized person, without attachment for material gains. His dealings with family members or friends should be performed simply to fulfill their purpose. One should not be extravagantly engaged in this way. Instructions from family members and society should be accepted superficially, but in essence, the grihasta should be engaged in occupational duties advised by the spiritual master and Shastra. Specifically, a grihasta should engage in agricultural activities to earn money. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 1844, Krishi Go Raksha Bani Jam, agriculture, cow protection, and trade are special duties of the grihastas. If by chance or by the grace of the Lord more money comes, it should be properly engaged for the Krishna consciousness movement. One should not be eager to earn money simply for sensual pleasure. A grihasta should always remember that one who is endeavoring to accumulate more money than necessary is to be considered a thief and is punishable by the laws of nature. A grihasta should be very much affectionate toward lower animals, birds and trees, treating them exactly like his own children. A grihasta should not indulge in killing animals or birds for sense gratification. He should provide the necessities of life, even to the dogs and the lowest creatures, and should not exploit others for sense gratification. Factually, according to the instructions of Srimad-Bhagavatam, every grihasta is a great communist who provides the means for living for everyone. Whatever a grihasta may possess, he should equally distribute to all living entities without discrimination. The best process is to distribute prasad. Now we should know, just for the new people in the room, this word communist, he is a great communist, doesn't mean the Communist Party on the earth. The Communist Party has an idea that everything belongs to the state.
Exactly.
But real communism means everything belongs to God. And if everyone was living on that principle, then we wouldn't have all these communities barking at each other whenever they wanted to come over the border or bring anything into the country. Right? All the barking would stop, and we'd have more peace in the world. Okay. A grihasta should not be very much attached to his wife. That means he can be attached, but not very much attached, not too attached. He should engage even his own wife in serving a guest with all attention. Whatever money a grihasta accumulates by the grace of God, he should spend in 5 activities, namely, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, receiving Vaishnavas and saintly persons, distributing prasad to the general public and to all living entities, offering prasad to his forefathers, and also offering prasad to his own self. The grihasta should not eat anything. What happened? I thought you were going to be gone for 10 days. Oh no, that was Gora. Come on, come. This is Kamal Gopal. One more. Then?
Then go around with Mr. Hare Krishna too.
Really? Who? Oh, thank you so much. Does that mean you said hello to him for me? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Nice to have you back. Saintly boy. This is what happens when you live by the principles of Grihastha. You get sons like this. Is it true? Yes. Okay. Grihasthas should always be ready to worship everyone, as mentioned above. A grihastha should not eat anything not offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Remember the days? Maybe it's before your time. When I was a kid, the family would sit together at a table and then put the offering, and then we would all say a prayer, and then we'd all share the food as communion. Those days are long gone. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita 13:13, Yagya Shishtak Senak Santo Muchante Sarvakil Bishaihi. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food that is offered first for sacrifice. Hare Krishna, you're back. So, yeah, move to the right, move to the right. Carlos, move this way, and there she can sit in that chair. Okay, everybody, calm down. It's okay. You want to sit in the chair in the corner? That'll give you more space. There you go. Okay. Hare Krishna. This is good. Welcome back. Hare Krishna. Okay. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 3:13, Yagya Shishtas Enaksanto Muchante Savakil Pishahi. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food that is offered first for sacrifice. The grihastha should also visit the holy places of pilgrimage mentioned in the Puranas. In this way, he should fully engage in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the benefit of his family, his society, his country, and humanity at large. Text 1. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired from Narada Muni, O my Lord, O great sage, kindly explain how we who are studying at home without knowledge of the goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instructions of the Vedas. Purport. In the previous chapters, the great sage Narada has explained how a brahmachari, a vanaprastha, and a sannyasi should act. He first explained the dealings of a brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi because these 3 ashramas, or statuses of life, are extremely important for the fulfillment of the goal of life. So for you, all for you 4 new people, this is brahmachari means student life, vanaprastha means retired life, and sannyas means it means renounced life. Okay, and the grihastha life is in the middle. Okay. One should note that in the brahmacharya ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and sannyasa ashram, there is no scope for sex life, whereas sex is allowed in grihastha life under regulations. Narada Muni therefore first described brahmacharya, vanaprastha, and sannyas because he wanted to stress that sex is not at all necessary, although one who absolutely requires it is allowed to enter grihastha life or household life, which is also regulated by the Shastras and Guru. Yudhishthira Maharaj could understand all this. Therefore, as a grihastha, he presented himself as griha mudhadi, or one who is completely ignorant of the goal of life. A person who remains a householder in family life is certainly ignorant of life's goal. He is not very much advanced in intelligence. As soon as possible, one should give up his so-called comfortable life at home and prepare to undergo austerity or tapasya. Tapo divyam putrika, according to the instructions given by Rishabhadev to his sons, we should not create a so-called comfortable situation, but must prepare to undergo austerity. This is how a human being should actually live to fulfill life's ultimate goal. Text 2. Narada Muni replied, "My dear king, those who stay at home as householders must act to earn their livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of the work themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna, Vasudeva. How to satisfy Vasudeva in this life can be perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of the Lord." Purport. The format for grihastha life should be dedication to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita 6.1 it is said, "Anashritak karma palang karyam karma karoti yaha sasanyasi chiyogi cha naniragnir nachakriya." One who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. And he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. Whether one acts as a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi, he must act only for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. This should be the principle for everyone's life. Narada Muni has already described the principles of life for the brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyasi, and now he is describing how a grihastha should live. The basic principle is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The science of satisfying the Supreme Lord can be learned as described here, Sakshat Upasita Mahamunim. The word Mahamunim refers to great saintly persons or devotees. Saintly persons are generally known as munis, or thoughtful philosophers, concerned with transcendental subject matters. And Mahamunin refers to those who have not only thoroughly studied the goal of life, but who are actually engaged in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. These persons are known as devotees. Unless one associates with devotees, one cannot learn the science of Vasudeva Parvana, Vasudeva Arpana, or dedicating one's life to Vasudeva, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In India, the principles of this science were followed strictly. Even 50 years ago, I saw that in the village of Bengal and the suburbs of Calcutta, people engaged in hearing the Srimad-Bhagavatam daily when all their activities ended, or at least in the evening before going to bed. Everyone would hear the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam classes were held in every village, and thus people have the advantage of hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam, which describes everything about the aim of life, liberation or salvation. This will be clearly explained in the next verses. So that's what we're doing here today. we're hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam together. And we do this every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Yeah. Three to four. A grihastha must associate again and again with saintly persons. And with great respect, he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and his incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. Purport. The Krishna consciousness movement has been established to give grihasthas all over the world an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita specifically. Shall I repeat that for all of our local grihasthas? Hare Krishna. The Krishna consciousness movement has been established to give grihasthas all over the world an opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita specifically. The process is described in many ways, is one of hearing and chanting Shinvatam, Swatkata, Krishna, Punya, Shravana Kirtana. Everyone, especially the grihasthas, who are mudhadi, ignorant about the goal of life, should be given opportunities to hear about Krishna simply by hearing, by attending lectures in the different centers of the Krishna consciousness movement, where topics of Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are discussed. They will be purified of their sinful inclinations for constant indulgence in illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, which have all become prominent in modern days. Thus they can be raised to the status of light. Punya, Shravana, Kirtana. Simply by joining the kirtan, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And by hearing about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, one must be purified, especially if he also takes prasad. This is all going on in the Krishna consciousness movement. We've got new glasses.
My work glasses.
Oh, I see. Another specific description here is Shrinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam. It is not that because one has once finished Bhagavad Gita, he should not hear it again. The word abhikshnam is very important. We should hear again and again. There is no question of stopping. Even if one has read these topics many times, he should go on reading again and again, because Bhagavad Gita, the words spoken by Krishna and spoken by Krishna's devotees about Krishna, are amritam, nectar. The more one drinks this amritam, the more he advances in his eternal life. The human form of life is meant for liberation, but unfortunately, due to the influence of Kali Yuga, every day the grihasthas are working hard like asses. Early in the morning, they rise and travel even 100 miles away to earn bread, especially in the Western countries. I've seen that people awaken at 5 o'clock to go to offices and factories and earn their livelihood. People in Calcutta and Bombay also do this every day. They work very hard in the office or factory, and again they spend 3 or 4 hours in transportation returning home. Then they retire at 10 o'clock and rise again early in the morning to go to their offices and factories. This kind of hard labor is described in the Shastras as the life of pigs and stool eaters. Nayam deho, deha bhajam niloke, kashtan kaman, arhate vidbujam ye. Of all living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available for dogs and hogs that eat stool. Bhagavatam 5.5.1. One must find some time for hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. This is Vedic culture. One should work 8 hours at the most to earn his livelihood, and either in the afternoon or in the evening, a householder should associate with devotees to hear about the incarnations of Krishna and his activities, and thus be gradually liberated from the clutches of Maya. Maya means illusion. Ma means not, and ya means that. So to accept something that is true to not be true is Maya, not that, or illusion. And almost everyone in this world now, in this modern age, is living in Maya, in illusion. We'll explain more. However, instead of finding time to hear about Krishna, the householders, after working hard in offices and factories, find time to go to a restaurant or a club where instead of hearing about Krishna and his activities, they're very much pleased to hear about the political activities of demons and non-devotees and to enjoy wine, women, and meat, and in this way waste their time. This is not Grihastha life, but demoniac life. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, with its centers all over the world, gives such fallen and condemned persons an opportunity to hear about Krishna. In a dream, we form a society of friendship and love, and when we awaken, we see that it has ceased to exist. Similarly, one's gross society, family, and love are also a dream, and this dream will be over as soon as one dies. Therefore, whether one is dreaming in a subtle way or in a gross way, these dreams are all false and temporary. One's real business is to understand that one is soul, aham brahmasmi, and that his activities should therefore be different. Then one can be happy. Brahmabhuta prasanatma nashochati nakankshati samak sarvesha bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward all living entities. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Bhagavad Gita 18:54. One who is engaged in devotional service can very easily be liberated from the dream of materialistic life. Text 5. While working to earn his livelihood, as much as necessary to maintain body and soul together, one who is actually learned should live in human society unattached to family affairs, although externally appearing very much attached. Purport. This is the art of living. Purport. This is the picture of the ideal. This is the picture of ideal family life. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy about the goal of life, Ramananda Roy described it in different ways, according to the recommendations of the revealed scriptures. And finally, Sri Ramananda Roy explained that one may stay in his own position, whether as a Brahmana, a Shudra, a Sannyasi, or whatever, but one must try to inquire about life's goal, atato, Brahma Jigyasa. This is the proper utilization of the human form of life. When one misuses the gift of the human form by unnecessarily indulging in the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and does not try to get out of the clutches of Maya, which subjects one to repeated birth, death, old age, and disease, one is again punished by being forced to descend to the lower species and undergo evolution according to the laws of nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Being completely under the grip of material nature, the living entity must evolve again from the lower species to the higher species until he at last returns to human life and gets the chance to be freed from the material clutches. A wise man, however, learns from the Shastras and Guru that we living entities are all eternal, but are put into troublesome conditions because of associating with different modes under the laws of material nature. He therefore concludes that in the human form of life, he should not endeavor for unnecessary necessities, but should live a very simple life, just maintaining body and soul together. Certainly one requires some means of livelihood, and according to one's varna and ashrama, this means of livelihood is prescribed in Shastras. One should be satisfied with this. Therefore, instead of hankering for more and more money, a sincere devotee of the Lord tries to invent some ways to earn his livelihood, and when he does so, Krishna helps him. Earning one's livelihood, therefore, is not a problem. The real problem is how to get free from the bondage of birth, death, old age. Attaining this freedom and not inventing unnecessary necessities is the basic principle of Vedic civilization. One should be satisfied with whatever means of life comes automatically. The modern materialistic civilization is just the opposite of the ideal civilization. Every day the so-called leaders of modern society invent something contributing to a cumbersome way of life that implicates people more and more in the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. Text 6. An intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying, "Yes, that is all right." But internally, he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life will not be fulfilled. Text 7. The natural products created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be utilized to maintain the bodies and souls of all living entities. The necessities of life are of three types: those produced from the sky, from rainfall, from the earth, from the mines, the seas, or the fields, and from the atmosphere, that which is obtained suddenly and unexpectedly. Purport. We living entities in different forms are all children of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita 14:14. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtiyak sambhavantiyaha tasam brahma mahad yonir aham bija pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the Father of all living entities in different species and forms. One who is intelligent can see that all living entities in the 8,400,000 bodily forms are part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are His sons. Everything within the material and spiritual worlds is the property of the Supreme Lord. Ishavashamidang sarvam, and therefore everything has a relationship with Him. Srila Rupa Goswami says in this regard, Prapanchikataya buddhya harisambandhi vastunaha mamukshubik prityago vairagyam palgukatyate. One who rejects anything without knowledge of its relationship to Krishna is incomplete in his renunciation. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2, 256. Although Mayavadi philosophers say that the material creation is false, actually it is not false. It is factual. But the idea that everything belongs to human society is false. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for everything is created by Him. All living entities, being the Lord's sons, His eternal parts and parcels, have the right to use their Father's property. By nature's arrangement. As stated in the Upanishads, Tena tyaktena bunjita ma grita kasya swiddanam. Everyone should be satisfied with the things allotted him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one should encroach upon others' rights or properties. In Bhagavad Gita it is said, Anad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anasambhavaha jagyad bhavri parjanyo jagya karma samudbhavaha. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Bhagavad Gita 3.14. When food grains are sufficiently produced, both animals and human beings can be nourished without difficulty for their maintenance. This is nature's arrangement. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Everyone is acting under the influence of material nature, and only fools think they can improve upon what God has created. The householders are specifically responsible for seeing that the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are maintained, without fighting between men, communities, societies, or nations. Human society should properly utilize the gifts of God, especially the food grains that grow because of rain falling from the sky. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yagyad Bhavari Parjanya. So that rainfall will be regulated, humanity should perform yajnas, sacrifices. Yajnas were previously performed with offerings of oblations of ghee and food grains. But in this age, of course, this is no longer possible, for the production of ghee and food grains is diminished because of the sinful life of human society. However, people should take to Krishna consciousness and chant the Hare Krishna mantra as recommended in the Shastras. Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumedasaha. If people throughout the world take to the Krishna consciousness movement and chant the easy sound vibration of the transcendental name and fame of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there will be no scarcity of rainfall. Consequently, food grains, fruits, and flowers will be properly produced, and all the necessities of life will be easily obtained. Grihastas or householders should take the responsibility for organizing such natural production. It is therefore said, Tasyaiva heto pratayet kovida. An intelligent person should try to spread Krishna consciousness through the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, and all the necessities of life will automatically follow. Text 8. One may claim proprietorship to as much wealth as required to maintain body and soul together. But one who desires proprietorship over more than that must be considered a thief, and he deserves to be punished by the laws of nature. Purport. By God's favor, we sometimes get large quantities of food grains or suddenly receive some contribution or unexpected profit in business. In this way, we may get more money than needed. So how should that be spent? There is no need to accumulate money in the bank merely to increase one's bank balance. Such a mentality is described in Bhagavad Gita 16:13 as asuric, demoniac. Idam adya maya labdam imam prapsye manoratham idam astidam abhime bhavishyati punardanam. The demoniac thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future, more and more. The asura is concerned with how much wealth he has in the bank today and how it will increase tomorrow. But unrestricted accumulation of wealth is not permitted either by the Shastra or in the modern age by the government. Of course, now we have how many men? 25, 30? Controlling 95% of the wealth?
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what it says here. If this happens and it keeps happening, eventually the penny drops, or the tipping point comes and it all gets broken. Because people cannot tolerate, they can only tolerate so much.
Mm-hmm. It's actually 8 men control half the world's wealth.
8 men create half the world's wealth, and 25 men control 90% of the wealth. Something's got to give here. Actually, if one has more than one requires for his necessities, the extra money should be spent for Krishna. According to the Vedic civilization, it should all be given to Krishna conscious movement, as ordered by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita 9:27. Yat karoshi, yadishnasi, yat jahosi dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi konteya, tat karushva madarpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me. Grihastas should spend extra money only for the Krishna consciousness movement. The Grihastas should give contributions for constructing temples of the Supreme Lord and for preaching of Srimad-Bhagavad Gita or Krishna consciousness all over the world. Shrinban Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam. In the Shastras, the Puranas and other Vedic literatures, there are so many narrations describing the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everyone should hear them again and again. For example, even if we read the entire Bhagavad Gita every day, all 18 chapters, in each reading we shall find a new explanation. That is the nature of transcendental literature. The Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, affords one an opportunity to spend his extra earnings for the benefit of all human society by expanding Krishna consciousness. In India, especially, we see hundreds and thousands of temples that were constructed by the wealthy men of society who did not want to be called thieves and be punished. This verse is very important. As stated here, one who accumulates more money than needed is a thief, and by the laws of nature, he will be punished.
Okay.
One who acquires more money than necessary becomes desirous of enjoying material comforts more and more. Materialists are inventing so many artificial necessities, and those who have money, being allured by such artificial necessities, try to accumulate money to possess more and more. This is the idea of modern economic development.
Progress.
Yes. Everyone is engaged in earning money, and the money is kept in the bank, which then offers money to the public. In this cycle of activities, everyone is engaged in getting more and more money. and therefore the ideal goal of human life is being lost. Concisely, it may be said that everyone is a thief and is liable to be punished. Punishment by the laws of nature takes place in the cycle of birth and death. No one dies fully satisfied by the fulfillment of material desires, for that is not possible. I'll read that again. Too much good, too much nice. No one dies fully satisfied by the fulfillment of material desires. You see anybody in the deathbed going, yeah, fine, bring it on. No. No one dies fully satisfied by the fulfillment of material desires, for that is not possible. Therefore, at the time of one's death, one is very sorry, being unable to fulfill his desires. By laws of nature, one is then offered another body to fulfill his unsatisfied desires. And upon taking birth again, accepting another material body, one voluntarily accepts the threefold miseries of life. And this puts the responsibility exactly where it lies with each one of us. Text 9. One should treat animals such as deer, camels, asses, monkeys, mice, snakes, birds, and flies exactly like one's own son. How little difference there actually is between children and these innocent animals. Purport. One who is in Krishna consciousness understands that there is no difference between the animals and the innocent children in one's home. Even in ordinary life, it is our practical experience that a household dog or cat is regarded on the same level as one's children without any envy. Like children, the unintelligent animals are also sons of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore a Krishna conscious person, even though a householder, should not discriminate between children and poor animals. Unfortunately, modern society has devised many means for killing animals in different forms of life. For example, in the agricultural fields, there may be many mice, flies, and other creatures that disturb production, and sometimes they are killed by pesticides, and then people eat the pesticides. And then, in this verse, however, such killing is forbidden. Every living entity should be nourished by the food given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Human society should not consider itself the only enjoyer of all the properties of God. Rather, men should understand that all the other animals also have a claim to God's property. In this verse, even the snake is mentioned, indicating that a householder should not be envious even of a snake. If everyone is fully satisfied by eating food that is a gift from the Lord, why should there be envy between one living being and another? In modern days, people are very much inclined toward communistic ideas of society, but we do not think that there can be any better communistic idea than that which is explained in this verse of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Even in the communistic companies, the poor animals are killed without consideration, although they also should have the right to take their allotted food with which to live. Text 10. Even if one is a householder rather than a brahmachari, a sannyasi, or a vanaprastha, one should not endeavor very hard for religiosity, economic development, or satisfaction of the senses. Even in householder life, one should be satisfied to maintain body and soul together with whatever is available with minimum endeavor. This is exactly opposite what we're being taught here. Now you've got to work 3 jobs, 4 jobs, and then when they calculate it up, they say, oh, the unemployment rate is going down. Yeah, that's because people are working 3 or 4 jobs. Hare Krishna. Even in household life, one should be satisfied to maintain body and soul together with whatever is available, with minimum endeavor, according to time and place, by the grace of the Lord. One should not engage oneself in ugra karma. Ugra karma means destructive activity, activity that is meant to tear down rather than maintain. Purport. In human life there are 4 principles to be fulfilled: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. First, one should be religious, observing various rules and regulations, and then one must earn some money for maintenance of his family and the satisfaction of senses. The most important ceremony for sense gratification is marriage, because sexual intercourse is one of the principal necessities of the material body. Yan maitunadi grihamedi sukham hitucham. Although sexual intercourse is not a very exalted requisite in life, both animals and men require some sense gratification because of material propensities. One should be satisfied with married life and not expend energy for extra sense gratification or sex life. As for economic development, the responsibility for this should be entrusted mainly to the Vaishyas and Grihastas. Human society should be divided into Varnas and Ashramas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra; Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Economic development is necessary for Grihastas. Brahmana Grihastas should be satisfied with a life of adhyayana, adhyapana, yajana, and yajana, being learned scholars, teaching others to be scholars, learning how to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, and also teaching others how to worship Lord Vishnu, or even the demigods. A Brahmana should do this without remuneration, but he is allowed to accept charity from a person whom he teaches how to be a human being. As for the Kshatriyas, they are supposed to be the kings of the land, and the land should be distributed to the Vaishyas for agricultural activities, cow protection, and trade. Shudras must work. Sometimes they should engage in occupational duties as cloth manufacturers, weavers, blacksmiths, goldsmiths, brassmiths, and so on, or else they should engage in hard labor to produce food grains. These are the different occupational duties by which men should earn their livelihood, and in this way human society should be simple. At the present moment, however, everyone is engaged in technological advancements, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as ugra karma, extremely severe endeavor. Does anyone know what's running the internet? The internet embodies technological advancement. And what's running it? What's financing it? Do you know? Anyone know?
The system, Maya?
Pornography.
Absolutely, yes.
Pornography.
Yes.
It's pornography that's running the internet, almost exclusively.
Yes.
Everyone knows. Everyone who knows, knows. Everyone who's in ignorance doesn't know. But that's a fact. And therefore this point is so spot on. These are different occupational duties by which men should earn their livelihood. And in this way human society should be simple. At the present moment, however, everyone is engaged in technological advancement, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as ugra karma. Extremely severe endeavor. This ugra karma is the cause of agitation within the human mind. Addiction to sex, pornography, addiction to drugs, addiction to video games, and on and on and on. Men are engaging in many sinful activities and becoming degraded by opening slaughterhouses, breweries, and cigarette factories, as well as nightclubs and other establishments for sense enjoyment. In this way, they are spoiling their lives. In all these activities, of course, householders are involved, and therefore it is advised here, with the use of the word api, that even though one is a householder, one should not engage himself in severe hardships. One's means of livelihood should be extremely simple. As for those who are not grihastas, the brahmacharis, vanaprasthas, and sannyasis, they don't have anything to do with but strive for advancement in spiritual life. And we invite everyone, we invite you young men here in the room for the first time or second time or third time, come join us. Learn how to live an extremely simple life and learn this knowledge and distribute it to others. It's a revolution. This means that 3/4 of the entire population should stop sense gratification and simply be engaged in the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Only 1/4 of the population should be grihasta, and that should be according to the laws of restricted sense gratification. The grihastas, vanaprasthas, brahmacharis, and sannyasis should endeavor together with their total energy to become Krishna conscious. This type of civilization is called Daiva Varnashrama. One of the objectives of the Krishna consciousness movement is to establish this Daiva Varnashrama, but not to encourage so-called Varnashrama without scientifically organized endeavor by human society. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop the reading for tonight. Hare Bol. Now we have our favorite time, or one of our favorite times. They're both favorite times. But anyway, it's called the open mic time. We have a mic, and everyone is encouraged to reflect on what we just heard, and we heard just a lot. Must have been Krishna's arrangement. Everybody who was here almost every night knows that when you young men came in for the first time to hear, Prabhupada just laid it out. Just laid it out. So wonderful seeing the Supreme Lord inside everyone's heart, organizing things.
We've got one in line.
Prana, you started off.
There's a lot of good points. The first one of the first purports we heard about, how's it go? Tapo divyam putrakayena satvam, about divine austerities, that human life is not meant to just engage in sensual gratifications.
Unrestricted sensual
gratification. Because that's also available to the animals. So the human life is more elevated for a certain purpose. And it made me think of an example Prabhupada gives in the Ishopanishad purport, how a high-ranking officer in a company or some sort of business, he has more facility because he has more responsibility. So the human form of life, we have more facility, we have higher consciousness than animals, because we have a greater responsibility to serve, and that responsibility was devotional service, and engaging in voluntary austerities to reach that end.
And in the other religions also, what did they say in the Bible? Man has dominion over the lower species. But how have they interpreted that? To eat. To kill and to eat. Even though they don't need to. Human beings are not meant to eat meat. It's not necessary, and they create such sinful reactions on the earth. So that means that the purpose of human life is different than the animals. The animals are also eating, they're also sleeping, they're also mating, and they're also defending themselves. Those are the animal activities. And human life also includes those activities. But we have an activity that is another dimension than the animals. We can search for the truth, we can organize ourselves, we can try to uplift ourselves. The animals can't do that. They're just engaged in these four things. So if the human society and the leaders of human society teach their children and the people in general to go after these four things only, then they are actually promoting an animal society.
Exactly.
When Prabhupada came to the West, tomorrow, see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Haribo. Prabhupada said, when he first came over, he said, don't think that I'm just saying cats and dogs. I am seeing cats and dogs. And sometimes he would go to university programs and the students would ask questions. And when he talked like this, they would say, what's wrong with being a dog? Next life. I'll forget I was human anyway. And then I can go out and have sex on the street without any problem, and nobody will get in my case. And that's what they're training. That's what they're training. And we should protest. Walk with our feet, protest, and act properly, do the right thing, and set the right example. Correct. Nice point. Okay, who else? Questions? Reflections? Discussion? Yes, Sarva.
It seems like all religions have some principles of renunciation from this material world, but they don't all seem to practice it to the same degree. So what is special about Prabhupada's teaching or his example?
Yeah, this is a very, very good point. What's special about this movement? What's special about the Vedas? What's special about the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam? When in fact, all religious scriptures are more or less, if not beginning, they're going in this direction to, in the Bible they say, give up mammon, give up carnal desires, give up fornication. All these words are there in the Bible. Give up what's the word? Possessing other things, hankering after other people's things. Covetousness. Do not covet other people's property, and so on and so forth. All these principles are there in all the scriptures. So what's the difference? Actually, in one sense, there is no difference because they're all acknowledging that there's a supreme source, there's laws of nature, and that we should learn to love. The difference is that there is not a concrete conception of the supreme being. There may be an idea, and is omniscient, is omnipotent, omnipresent. These thoughts are there, but exactly what that omniscient being is, who, where, how to get in touch, what in detail how he lives, what's going on in the spiritual world. They talk about the kingdom of God or heaven or whatever, but what's going on there? The details are lacking. The scientific details of how the universe is created, what the lifespans are, how it develops, etc., etc., what the life cycles of time are in larger and larger divisions until finally the total lifespan of the cosmic manifestation. We know we have a body that has a lifespan. We know that every form that's created in this material world has a lifespan. So the Vedas teach us that the whole cosmic situation has a lifespan also, and that it's created and annihilated, just like everything else. This knowledge is lacking. The comprehensive knowledge, especially that is needed for people who are educated in science or educated in higher education today. They need these details in order to have strong faith, in order to have reasonable faith, in order to have educated faith, not blind faith, not just sentiment. And Prabhupada used to say, another difference is, as you already said, Sarva already brought it up, they're not following. Or they interpret it and they say, do not kill means do not murder, means another human being. Animals, oh, they don't have souls. It's okay to kill them. They're meant to be killed for us, for human beings to eat. So these ideas have come in, and therefore the disciplic successions, in Islam they have Shia and Sunni, and they're arguing over the succession. They don't have the same idea of what the succession is. It's the disciple of, or it's the brother, or the son, or whatever. The difference between a spiritual succession and a seminal succession. Same things in the Vedic culture, same things in India. But the knowledge is coming down through spiritual succession, through the transmission of transcendental sound and the passing it down of that transcendental sound without it being changed. And therefore there have to be pure sources of knowledge and pure sources of transmission. That's the difference. And there's very few people on the earth now that are doing that. So it's our duty to follow the principles that we just heard about. Learn to live life according to the laws of nature, purely and simply, and spread that consciousness that comes with that life gradually into human society. And there will be another energy that's going to cause the other side, which means the ugra karma, the activities and production of products that are actually not necessary, but only a few can afford. And therefore the resources are not distributed evenly, and therefore there's all kinds of inequality on every level, economically, socially, politically, gender, race, nationality, so much inequality. And therefore the spiritual truth that is embodied in the Constitution of the United States, that experiment, all men are created equal, is being lost. And the law-based culture in which everyone follows laws and there's an equal playing field for everyone, it's being lost. So the Krishna consciousness movement is meant to reinvigorate that truth and teach as many people as will listen, and there aren't very many of them right now because they're all being drugged and sexed to death. They're being so drugged and sexed they can't see beyond, here or here. This is it. I was in an airport, not too long ago, and I saw this couple, and they were sitting not so far apart, but they weren't. They were obviously together, and they were both, on their, machines like this. I was curious, so I walked behind them. They were chatting with each other, texting each other. They were this, and they were texting each other. I couldn't believe my eyes. Of course, that's an extreme, but that's where it's headed. And so many children are addicted to these video games, and what do the video games teach you? Violence, how to kill, how to be sensual, it's demoniac. And therefore what we're teaching may sound extreme, but it's not extreme. It's what human beings are meant to do. It's how human beings are meant to live. And it's hard to do that now. So therefore, Prabhupada came and set up this society, and there are a growing number of persons, although they may be a small percentage to the whole, but there's a growing number of persons who are following these principles and becoming cleansed, and their minds are clearer, intelligence is more clear, they know what to do, what not to do, what's right, what's wrong, and they're acting like it. This is my recruiting table here. Sign up right here. We got a brahmachari leader. We got a facility. Right now, there's an ashram that Shamasundar is our temple president, is kindly building, to house more of us. We joined the Orange Berets. We need
Special forces.
We need the special forces, the orange berets. Let the grahastas, and most of the devotees in this community are grahastas. Let them do their duties, and let them do but we can go out. The berets going out, distributing these books, bringing more people in. That's our mission.
Wonderful. Sounds wonderful.
Welcome aboard.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Sarva. He's got to say something. He's getting realizations. When Sarva starts to cook, the realizations come out.
This
Like
this
another.
chapter is talking about ideal family life, but it seemed like before family life in the Vedic culture, there's training to prepare a person for the rest of their life, the brahmachari stage. So it seems like more than ever that training is needed, but it's not always available. Can you talk about the benefit of that? Even if someone is 25, 30 years old, is it too late for that training?
It's never too late. It's never too late. The Vedas say that even a late beginner, once one understands the urgency of the situation, one can follow. I mean, all of us in this room that are celibate monks have come. I mean, I came when I was 26. When did you come? What age?
I was 30 years old.
30. So, there's some 20, 25,
23 now.
23, 25. Haribol Nitya, Hare Krishna. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Hare Krishna. I'd say this is more like it. Yeah, so in Brahmachari ashram, it's meant to be done at 5 years old. The spiritual education is meant to begin in the beginning. And in that ashram, the boys are taught to see all women as their mothers. From the very beginning of their life, they learn to see all women as their mothers, and therefore they naturally give respect. They naturally give, it's the motherhood is the most dear and respectable, sacred occupation, actually, in general, for human societies and human beings. So, like Sarva was saying, that principle and other principles, Isha Vaishyavidam Sarvam, that everything belongs to God, and we are meant to use we as children of God, we have the right to use the resources of God to maintain ourselves, but not more than what we need. And not what more than what we need means. When you take more than what you need, then someone else gets less than what they need. And if this statistic that Marcus brought out, how many men now control, how much of the resources, how much of the wealth, it's just obscene. It's obscene. You got someone else. Well, Hare Krishna. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine and getting better to see you. Here, come and sit. Haven't I seen you before?
Yes.
I thought so, but I forgot the name.
Carrie.
Carrie, forgive me for forgetting your name. Nurse. No?
Therapist.
Therapist.
Yes.
Yes. What kind of therapy?
Massage therapy for special needs kids and adults.
Nice. Yeah, if you want to get into a nice occupation that's going to be, secure in the future, get into health care because there's a lot of, especially mental health, there's a lot of need, and it's growing every day.
We've got a few on.
We have a few online. We're online, so we're getting some questions from her. Sorry that we just had a reading, and now we're having our discussions afterwards.
Vijay Lakshmi first. Hare
Vijay
Krishna.
Lakshmi from Bangalore, India.
Mm.
It's all over the world. People are listening to this.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances. I have a question. Snakes are allowed to be killed by humans? ? There was an incident where Srila Prabhupada had been put in this situation. What should we follow, Guru Maharaj?
Well, the thing is, poisonous snakes, and if a living being attacks you or potentially attacks you, you have the right to take the life of that living being without incurring karmic debt, karmic reaction. There's no sinful reaction from that. So if the snake is poisonous and you know that it's poisonous, you can eliminate the danger. It is not sinful to do that. But in general, this is talking about the living beings that live in the household or in the property that a person owns, and they should all be given or allowed to live. Now, the incident that she mentioned about Srila Prabhupada, he was in his spiritual master's compound, and his spiritual master was on, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was on the veranda, and somebody, yelled snake, because in this place there's cobras. You know what a cobra is? It's a very dangerous snake. It can kill you easily. So when somebody said snake, snake, cobra, cobra, and Bhaktisiddhanta came out and he said, kill it. And so Prabhupada thought, but we're supposed to be, we're supposed to see every living being equally. How is this possible? My Guru Maharaj is thinking like this. And then later on, and so he had that doubt. Later on, when he was reading the Srimad-Bhagavatam, he came upon a verse that said that scorpions and poisonous reptiles can be killed without sin and should be. It's merciful because they get relieved from that. Try to understand what kind of karma, what you have to have done to take in that birth. So if you get removed from that body in that way, then you get relieved from the reaction, then you can get a better birth. This is Vedic culture. The Vedic culture is seeing things in the long term, in the ultimate. It's called Shreyas, ultimate benefit, not just immediate benefit.
Acharya Nishta Das has a question.
Acharya Nishta, Hare
Says,
Krishna.
You mentioned all wealth owned by 25 men. I have heard many rumors about the New World Order, Rothschilds, etc. Is this what you are referring? Is this what you're referring to? And is this authentic? In other words, we hear this from the internet, but can we cite this from scriptural authorities or Guru Sadashastra so they can use in class?
No, don't go onto the internet. Don't get involved with conspiracy theories. It will take you out of spiritual life. Your mind will become disturbed, so disturbed that you cannot think of Krishna. The goal of human life is to live a simple life and a clean, pure life, as we've been hearing for the last hour, so that we can think of Krishna. You can't think of Krishna if your mind is too disturbed. And when you start getting into conspiracy theories, then you are going to go in the wrong direction.
I think he was just seeing if he can use that statement in class.
That's what you think.
Okay.
I am saying what we should think, and
Okay.
what we should say.
Okay. Jai. What I'm thinking.
Don't get into conspiracy theories. It's all theories, and therefore it's all speculative, and even if it's true, it won't do any good to anybody.
Rati has a question as well.
Hare Krishna, Rati.
Dear Guru Maharaj, please.
She's in Holland, Amsterdam. Now we got Bangalore and Amsterdam.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Tonight we have heard many deep statements, some of which are completely and sometimes shockingly opposed to the ideas and ideals of today's society, which I would like to ask some clarification for. For example, we heard that the desire and the practice of saving money in the bank is demoniac. This is a direct quote from the Bhagavad Gita verse. I understand that excess is bad, but does this mean that we should not save anything for retirement, even if at present we are not able to fully depend on the provisions of Lord Krishna?
It's time and circumstance. We're meant to live simple life, and if we are living simple life, then we don't need to do that. You don't absolutely need to do that. In the Vedic culture, the family life stayed very much intact, and the senior members of the society were taken care by their families, and therefore you didn't need to have bank accounts and 412, what are they? 401ks. You didn't need 401ks. You didn't need Social Security. You didn't need all these kinds of schemes. So that's the ideal. We're reading the Bhagavatam, and the purports in the Bhagavatam are explaining the ideal. We may not be able to follow exactly what it says now in this Kali Yuga, in this age that we're living in now. But we have to take the principles and try our best to live a more simple life. Yes, Prana.
I really like the point that Srila Prabhupada made about there's no question of stopping the hearing process of
Yes.
Srimad-Bhagavatam.
I use this in one of my
Bhagavad Gita.
recent. Go ahead. Offerings.
Well, I just like the point because he said that one must go on hearing and hearing, and if one heard once and thinks, now I can stop, then they're missing out. And he also said that why is that? Because it's nectar. And so I thought that's really nice. Just
So why is it nectar?
the activities, the word instructions.
It's nectar because it's the knowledge is deep, and according to our consciousness, we can hear more. And as our consciousness becomes more purified, we hear more from the same sentence, from the same paragraph. And as we get purified, we hear more, and then we hear more, and there's no end to it. And therefore, Amrita means we can become completely satisfied. That's what Amrita means. Nectar means we can completely satisfied by hearing transcendental knowledge. Knowledge that's actually transcendental, that it is not meant to promote something or exploit others or aggrandize oneself, but to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unlimited, the spiritual world is unlimited, and the goal of human life, the goal of evolution of consciousness, is to return to the spiritual world where knowledge and pleasure and life is eternal and full and unlimited. We cannot even conceive of that the way things are going on today. I was talking to Pranita Karuna. He was born in West Virginia in a town called Wheeling, and there's towns around. There are some towns right now where 4 out of 5 people are so strung out on prescription drugs, opioids, that they can't even function. This is real. This is going on right now because people are not taught how to live a spiritual life. They're not taught that there's a spiritual goal. And because it's not possible to satisfy, as we heard just now, it's not possible to satisfy the senses. When you die and your only goal is sense gratification, then you are in complete anxiety. There's been no training how to make the mind peaceful and to have a goal to go back to the spiritual world and associate with God again as a person. And that's another difference between most religious and spiritual ideas nowadays. They have an impersonal conception at the end. And the reason is because they don't want to take personal responsibility. They don't want to be actually responsible to a person, to a supreme authority. They're being taught to be the authorities themselves, and they're not. They're not making the sun came up. They say they're God, and you ask them, are you the supreme being? It says here in the dictionary, the supreme being. Are you the supreme being? Are you making the sun go up? They're so deluded by intoxication that some of them are thinking yes.
Yep.
I had a friend named Clint. No, I hope he's not watching. If you're watching, forgive me. No offense intended. We used to sit together, and anyway, he would be on some substance or another, and he would be like this in front of the horizon before the sun came up, and he would go like this. And the sun came up, and he would look at me and say, see? See? Did you see that? Now you can believe me that I am God. I say, Clint, you're a raving lunatic. Raving lunatic. And yet the so-called New Age groups, they're all preaching this. Yes, you're God. Why are you looking for God elsewhere? You are God. It's insanity. If somebody comes in the door and says, I'm, I don't know, Obama or Trump or whoever he comes in, you'll say, okay, here's my phone. Excuse me, could you come over and get this guy? He's like, put him in a paddy wagon and take him off to the funny farm. If you don't know who you are, you're nuts. And if you're thinking you're your body, you don't know who you are. You lose a loved one. What do you say? He's gone, but he's lying there in the bed. Or she, he, whatever. He's lying there, all the parts, everything. No, he's gone. That means you've never seen him. We don't know who we are. We don't even know in principle that we're spiritual and we're not material. And therefore we're in constant anxiety, trying to improve the material world in such a way that it will become, eternally perfect. And by nature it isn't. And therefore we're suffering. Walt Disney had himself frozen, so that he could be woken up again when they got the cure to the disease. Or nowadays you can get, this replacement, that replacement, this replacement, that replacement, and now they've got these, Borgs. What do they call them? Borgs? Cyborgs. They have cyborgs.
Yeah.
You're going to be walking around like this, and they're thinking that's advancement. They're thinking that that's Hare Krishna. The Srimad-Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all of these scriptures are teaching the pure, unadulterated truth without any frill, without any sugarcoating. Hey Judas, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Anything else?
No. Just greeting you.
Okay, it's after 8 o'clock. We'll stop here. We'd like to again welcome and thank all of you who came here to hear tonight. We do this every night, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you're welcome to come and hear and find out more about what to do in order to advance spiritually and come to the spiritual platform, so that we can become actually happy. And so at the time of leaving the body, we'll know what to do, and we will not be bewildered and confused all the time. Hare Krishna. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Narada Muni ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.